Hey Tom, will we ever hear the legendary Arnold's voice intros again?
Oh, hey YouTube, what are you doing?
Get down! There you go. No, aside from that, probably not. Too many people were annoyed by it, so that's why I stopped doing it. All right, so first question, and this is a really good one. It probably got the most thumbs up. Tom, here's a video suggestion that you might find interesting. Imagine if the People's Champ Award had been there all along. Which bodybuilders would have won it each year? Okay, so that's a really good question, really interesting idea, because the People's Champ Award has only been around for 3 years now, and that makes it kind of difficult for me to say who would have won it because there's not much of a precedent, right, in terms of what to expect there. It seems to go to the guy who just happens to be the most popular. Maybe he shows up in his best shape and really wows the crowd. Not necessarily the best bodybuilder, because I don't believe that anyone in their right mind would have had Rolly Winkler winning the Olympia in 2018 over Sean Roden or Phil Heath. Same thing with Hattie Chupan in 2019. I don't think too many people would have had him winning over Brandon Curry that year. Obviously, this year Big Ramy won the People's Choice or the People's Champ and the Mr. Olympia, so that made things pretty easy. But in general, let's just say let's assume that the champion would have won more times than not, meaning like the guy who won the Olympia would have also collected the People's Champ Award. I think that probably would have held true. Obviously, there were some times though where there was kind of a screw job, and there's no way that would have been the case. Like I'm thinking, say 2007 when Jay won, but everybody knew that Victor should have taken it. So I think either Victor Martinez would have taken the People's Champ Award that year, or maybe Dennis Wolf, because he also really kind of came into his own, really impressed everybody that year. Even though he only took fifth, he had an amazing posing performance, looked tremendous. So I think one of those two guys would have taken it that year. Another example that I can think of is back, a few years ago when Phil Heath and Kai Green were going toe to toe 3 years in a row. I think that Kai probably would have taken the People's Champ at least two of those years, in 2012 and in 2014 especially. So those are just a couple examples. Probably Nasser in 97, right? Things like that are pretty, I think, are pretty safe bets. But that's all I'm going to go through, because it would be a whole video in and of itself. The Olympia's been around for like 56, 57 years now, so there's no way I can go through every year in this Q&A. So next question, Tom Platz versus Dorian Yates versus Ronnie Coleman. Who trained the hardest, and who would you rather train with? Very good question. Really tough call, honestly. They all train like maniacs in their own way. I think if I was to sum it up, I'd say like Tom Platz kind of trained the most balls to the walls out of his mind. Like if you watch the guy, it's like, what is he even doing? It's almost like a gym fail to watch it now, because his form just got ridiculously sloppy, but he really pushed himself beyond failure, so that's why. So arguably he trained the most intensely in that aspect. Dorian Yates also went to failure and even beyond with forced reps and stuff with his training partner, really like screaming and grunting, but most impressively for me, I would say maintaining strict form. Whereas Ronnie Coleman was kind of like a mix of the two. He lifted the heaviest and he had the most volume, I'd say. Definitely the heaviest, though. And, the guy was just a beast. But he also tended to get a little bit sloppy with the form at times. And you can see the repercussions of that now, where the guy can barely walk anymore, right? So I think if I was given a choice, I think Dorian Yates trained the smartest. And I think he'd probably be the most analytical about it. And you'd probably learn the most from somebody like that. So I'd probably go with Dorian. Next question. Do you think Akeem has a shot of being the next Ronnie if he learns how to get that razor conditioning? No, he definitely does not. Even if he came in super shredded, he doesn't have the back, right? Like, not even close. Those high lats will always hold him back in that aspect. And no way, man. Like, that's a hyperbole to think that he's going to be the next Ronnie. So a related question, do you think there would be another bodybuilder like Ronnie Coleman in the future, or even better? Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out. Anything could happen, but I'm not holding my breath for something like that. I mean, Ronnie was one of a kind. Are we entering an era of many new Mr. O's consecutively? We already at the third one, and to be honest, I don't see anyone like Ronnie or Phil that could dominate for years. Well, I wouldn't say that just yet. It all depends on Big Ramy. If he's able to duplicate his conditioning that he brought this year going forward, he could hold on to the title for a number of years. But no, I don't see him being as dominant as Phil or Ronnie were. So I would agree with you there. Would you ever consider doing YouTube full-time, or at least consider it a part-time job? We need more of your videos, and your channel has potential to grow if it just needs more consistency. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I agree. If I pumped out videos more frequently, the channel would grow faster. There's no question. But for the record, I already do consider this a part-time job essentially at this point. I know before I said, it's just a hobby for me, and yeah, that's true too. But it's a hobby that's generating some income, so it is like a job, and there is an obligation. Like I have to put out videos basically every week, even if I don't want to, in order to maintain viewership. So no, I don't intend to put out more frequent videos. About once a week is all I'm really aiming for. Okay. Who in your mind is the next great multi-award Mr. Olympia champion, a la Heath, Coleman, etc.? If it's not Ramy, I don't see anybody right now, to be honest. Yeah, so we'll see. Time will tell. But no one really jumps out to me that's going to be the next like Heath or Coleman. One of my favorite videos from you is when you came up with your own version on how the judging system should be. Have you ever thought about going to one of your old videos, say Sean Ray versus Dorian, 1994, and judging that video with the point system that you created? Great question. Sort of, not really. I was looking forward to putting that judging system into practice with a current contest. Ideally, basically I was waiting for a screw job. I was waiting for some outcome that was just bogus, that we could all agree was stupid, and then showing like how my judging system could work better to give a better result. But that really hasn't happened yet, at least not at any of the major contests like the Arnold's or the Olympia, so I haven't really felt the need to test it out. But yeah, that is a good idea. I think it would be interesting, but I don't think I'd go back and review a contest that I've already done, because there's so many others that, that I haven't covered at this point. I know you like to pick on Kai, but what if he makes a comeback with his 2014 package, although 2012 is his best package? What do you think? Can he overthrow Ramy? So maybe if he was somehow magically able to reproduce his 2014 physique, yeah, potentially he could. That's not going to happen though, so the answer is no. Tom, do you think Phil has the potential to redeem his 8th title? If yes, then how would he be able to do that? Love your videos. I don't know. After seeing him, how it panned out this year at the 2020 Olympia, and he only took 3rd, I don't think so. I really don't. Just because he's getting older, those abs, those abdominal surgeries took its toll. He really only has like 2 abs left. And I think that with his main Achilles heel, his main weakness being the midsection, that really handicaps him in a way. And I just don't see it, man. Like, I don't know. It could happen. He's still really good. I think he deserved 3rd for sure. But no, I at this point, I don't think so. I think it's unlikely. What are your own personal fitness goals? Are you looking to do competitions or coaching maybe? No, definitely not. My only personal fitness goals is not to become a total fat ass during all these lockdowns with all the gym closures. Basically to maintain what I have. At 33, I'm almost 34, so it's not like I'm gonna start making crazy gains at this age naturally. So, besides bodybuilding, what other sports interest you? Great channel, by the way. Thanks. Yeah. I would say NHL hockey, NBA basketball, I used to be a fan of, not so much now since they went totally woke and retarded last year. And also, being from Toronto, the Toronto Raptors just won in 2019. They lost their best player, Kawhi Leonard. So they're probably going to be entering a rebuild mode soon. So they probably won't win again for like another 20 or 30 years, if ever. So I'm not too excited about basketball right now. So really just hockey, I guess. And personally, I played other sports in the past, like soccer and, tennis, but now really all I do is a little bit of golf in the summer. Did you ever end up doing that cycle? How did it go, or why not? Yeah, so in my last Q&A, I was talking about that a couple years ago, that I was really thinking about it, contemplating it. I looked into it. I planned everything out, man. Like, I knew exactly what I wanted to take, how much of it, how frequently, what size freaking syringe I was going to use, like all the details. But unfortunately, when it came to actually like trying to procure the stuff, it's not the easiest task, I guess, when you're trying to go through online channels, because it's all black market shit, and you cannot, just easily pay by credit card or something like you would on Amazon. You have to do all this sorts of shady crap like Western Union, which I've never done before, or Bitcoin, stuff like that, that that's a whole other project in itself, and I just gave up at that point. So no, I never did get around to trying it. Can you try pronouncing my surname this time? Okay, I think, yeah, you probably asked a question last time. Yere Mutilainen? I have no idea, man. I don't even know what nationality that would be. Is that Finnish or something? Anyway, would you ever do some second look videos on the old Olympias, maybe 93, 94, 95, to see if your opinions have shifted? Being a long-time subscriber, I feel like you have become more objective and all around better at analyzing bodybuilding. Well, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I've improved myself. Definitely less subjective than I used to be. So I would hope I would improve over 4+ years of doing this. So going back as to the main question of going back, yeah, I might, but probably only once I've covered all the stuff I already wanted to cover. Like, there's so many Olympias and Arnolds that I haven't done a review for yet, so it would seem kind of dumb to like go and re-review things I've already talked about before I get around to even covering some of these shows for the first time. You know what I'm saying? So probably not for a long time. Hey Tom, what have you found to be the best way to stay motivated and or consistent in your bodybuilding gym going journey? Great videos, brah. As for being consistent in my own like training and stuff, probably, I think at this point it's just I enjoy it. I enjoy working out. I enjoy the feeling of the pump. I enjoy the way my muscles look when they're pumped. I enjoy the feeling of like the muscle actually contracting. So yeah, that's really what kind of keeps me going. It's not really like making huge progress at this point. It's just like enjoying the process and being in the moment. How do you come up with video ideas? Also, do you feel you deserve more subscribers than you have? So video ideas, basically just inspiration, whatever kind of strikes me at the moment. And if I don't have time for it, if I think it's going to take a while, I'll put it kind of on the back burner. I have like a doc with like all these video ideas listed out, so I can always just draw from there if I can't think of anything. And as for subscribers, yeah, I probably do. Not to toot my own horn or sound egotistical, but if you compare my subscriber count and you look at my total view count across all my videos on the channel, I've got a lot of views. And if you go look at other channels and you look at their total view count, you can see this if you click on the channel and then click on the About page. It'll tell you. And there's probably not too many channels. I've never encountered a channel with more views than mine with this little subscribers. You know what I'm saying? So basically any other channel with my view count would have well over 100,000 subscribers by now. But I guess I'm kind of a dick. I'm a harsh critic, and that probably turns people away. So, plus some of my older videos weren't that well done, let's be honest. So I don't know. It doesn't really matter. What is your favorite compound movement, and what are your best lifts if you keep track of them? Favorite compound movement for a long time, I really enjoyed bent over rows, and it still is probably one of my favorites. Recently, like in the last couple of years, I really started feeling like the lying hamstring curl really well. That became probably my favorite, or one of my favorite lower body movements. I've always been, as for strength and best lifts, I never really mess with powerlifting and like 1 rep maxes and stuff. So none of my like big 3 are impressive at all. So yeah, but like in some of the other lifts, like leg press, I've gone really heavy on that heavy for a 180 pound person like myself, like 12 plates aside for reps, and done that a couple of times. Usually I cap at around 8 though, and sometimes even less now because I'm trying to go slower and feel it more. But things like, bent over rows, I think I was doing like 245 for reps. It was actually heavier than my bench at that point. And side raises I got pretty strong on. I was doing like 55 pound dumbbells, which again, really a lot of weight for someone of my size. And yeah, I was cheating and swinging a bit, but it was mostly under control. Now I usually don't go above, say, like 35s or 40s at most. I think you can get a lot out of lighter weights. Let's see here. What made you start a YouTube channel? Were you planning on it before, or did something just make a spark and you decided, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel now? Actually, it was Louis Marco. Yeah. So when I started my channel, Nick Strength and Power was a nobody. I'd never heard of him. So really, Louis was the OG. He's the only one that I knew of who was doing this bodybuilding commentary thing. And it wasn't because I was like, wow, Louis is so great. I want to try and be that good one day. Actually, there's no disrespect to Louis because he's great. He's really entertaining and he paved the way for all of us. And I think he had some good insights to offer too. But he did put out some crap videos too. Like we all have. I put out some crap videos that I'm not that proud of. But yeah, like so there was one in particular where it was like mentioning Phil Heath or something. So I clicked on it, thinking he'd be talking about Phil Heath. He spends the first 10 minutes of the video going on about this Korean Hulk guy on social media that I'd never heard of. I didn't care about. That's not what I clicked for. So it's like, just get to the damn point, dude. And I was just thinking, man, I could do better than this. So that's when it kind of clicked, and I was kind of like, okay, I think I can do this just as well, if not better, than this guy. So there was maybe a bit of arrogance on my part because Louis, like I said, he was really good, especially back in the day. But it was like that's kind of what sparked my idea to start a channel. Okay, this is a long one. How long do you think Ramy's reign will be? And do you think the 8 Mr. O titles is the max number of Sandow's that one can win? I think that it's impossible to do more than that because one of two scenarios will invariably play out. A new younger competitor will come along, Lee Haney and Dorian Yates, or even Jay and Phil. 2, your body can't stand the heat anymore and you start melting. What's your opinion on this? Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate, actually. For sure, that's probably the rule of thumb. It's one of those 2 scenarios will play out. It's really hard to hold on to even 8, like to even get close to 8. So is it impossible? Well, no, it's not impossible. I think Phil Heath could have easily done it if it weren't for the midsection issues, right? Like he wouldn't have lost in 2018. So, and he would have won in 2019 almost certainly with that field. So, it was a close thing, and but just one little thing like that can break you. So it might not happen in our lifetimes, but we'll see. Especially the way that the IFBB Pro League seems to be going now. Like they seem to be more open-minded and crowning anybody, not just crowning the rightful winner, not just playing it by who their politics kind of lean towards, who they think would be the best ambassador. They seem to be actually making the right call now and going with the guy who deserves to win. So if they keep doing that, it's going to be really hard for anybody to break that record. Do you think Brandon Curry can ever take back his title from Big Ramy? He could, but only if Ramy is off. Okay, because Brandon was very on this Olympia, and he still didn't measure up. Right, he was second place, so it seems like it's close, but it wasn't close. I think there was a big gap. The real battle was between him, Phil, and Hadi for second. Ramy was he pulled ahead of the pack. So I think Brandon's weak legs will always hold him back. Ramy doesn't have any real weak points. I mean, yeah, you could say his lower back, but big deal. That's not enough of a weak point when we're talking about half the body, like Brandon's lower body. So it's going to be really tough. It's going to really, if Ramy comes in off. That's the answer. It seems far more common these days to see older guys on the Olympia. Why do you think that is? Yeah, that's a good point. You're absolutely right. Like, basically, 30's the new 20, 40's the new 30. And I think that's mostly chalked up to drugs. These guys are pumping themselves so full of things like growth hormone, anabolic steroids, which extend your ability to create muscle well beyond the point when your natural test levels drop, because that's around 30 years of age. And it's also because they've reached such levels of mass now, it takes years to build that up, right? Like, that's why you see these guys in classic physique, they don't need those levels of muscularity. So, like, young guys like Chris Bumstead can come out of nowhere and within a year or two be winning the whole thing. You cannot see that happening at the open level anymore because these guys are so gigantic. You just can't build up these levels of mass within a year or two. It takes at least 5-10 years in most cases, depending on genetics.